Hello and welcome to Esther's Gardening Adventures. I'm Esther, and today I am going to talk about two things. First of all, I'm in my front yard garden, and it's the fall, as you can tell by all the leaves on the ground. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things you can do in the fall and in the winter to help promote a healthy ecosystem and biodiversity for your garden, which will ultimately benefit your garden. There's a lot of native bug species that are actually pollinators and also predators to many of the pests that can bother your garden, that if you provide them a way to overwinter in your garden or in your yard, you will actually have a much easier time next year. And then the second thing I'm going to talk about is I have decided to apply for the Master Gardener program, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the end about why I'm doing that and kind of what I hope to do with it. All right. I don't know how much you follow sort of the latest knowledge and trends about biodiversity and nature, but these leaves that fall from the trees are a really vital part of gardening and of preserving ecosystems and biodiversity. And there's a couple different ways to think about it. Now, I know everybody has their own preference for what they're going to do or what they want to do, but there are a number of native species of bugs and other things that overwinter in the leaves, or that the leaves help provide insulation for the ground for. I'm covering my microphone here in case the wind's really strong today. That it'll help you to leave them. So to the extent that you have areas that you can either pile leaves instead of throwing them out in a corner, or fenced in with a fence to keep it from blowing on your neighbor's yard, like I have this fence around my property that stops leaves from blowing, or the extent to which you're comfortable leaving them on the ground. Obviously, you don't want to leave them on pathways or driveways or things like that where you could slip, or they're safety hazards. But the kinds of bugs that overwinter under leaves or in leaves include Luna moths, those gorgeous green moths that are just like, oh, stunning. Ladybugs, and everybody always talks about how important ladybugs are to pest control for aphids and all kinds of things. And let me tell you, I've had aphids, but I haven't had aphids like kill any of my plants in the last few years, ever since I've started leaving the leaves. A lot of native bee species overwinter in the ground or under leaves, and so you can make a pile or kind of a stick pile if you want. And then also, I'm trying to think of what the other one was. There's some butterfly species, a moth species that do it as well. And lightning bugs. And there's actually a huge decrease in lightning bugs here in Maryland and on the East Coast. And I think this is part due to people, not leaving a place for lightning bugs to overwinter in their yards. So I know it doesn't, like, if you're in an HOA, you have no choice, right? But if there's a way you can store your leaves or leave them where they fall, that is ideal. And I have not found any problems with grass growing or things performing well afterwards. Granted, I don't do a manicured lawn, so, I don't have a 100% guarantee of that. But I found actually my soil is much healthier and the trees are happier and everything does better when I leave the leaves. I haven't noticed any problem with mosquitoes or any increase of not good pests that you don't want by leaving the leaves down. It's kind of a myth, I think, that's a problem. So to the extent you can do it, try to do it. Don't mulch the leaves if you can help it, because you're basically grinding up any bugs that are beneficial insects that would be overwintering them. Instead, you can pile them on top. And if you want to mulch them in the spring once it's gotten warm enough, you can totally do that. Another important thing to do is if you have any perennial native plants or perennial plants in general that have hollow stems, or any kind of place that there's a lot of native bees that will actually overwinter in the hollow stem. So even if I'm clearing out a bed, I will put the hollow stems like up against a tree or somewhere on the edge of my property, so that the bees will still be in an upright position and will be able to emerge in the spring. So if you do have to clear your beds. Now, I was watching a course given by winter gardeners online just to kind of check out the kind of stuff they teach. And they were also saying that one benefit to leaving sort of some of the roughage and the sticks and stuff for your perennials out is you can identify where they are in your garden, right? Sometimes in the spring, everything kind of looks the same. But if you leave some kind of a location marker for the things that are perennial or native for your area, for your garden. So those are all reasons to try to leave the leaves or put them in a pile somewhere. Don't put them in a sealed bag. Try to put them somewhere. And I actually had 2 years ago, I was going through a leaf pile that I had made, and it wasn't quite super warm yet. And literally like a queen bee, a bumblebee came out of the pile as I was digging through it and was like, okay, I guess it's time to wake up, right? And I don't know if that bee survived because there weren't a lot of flowering spring plants at that point. So they really do benefit. And if your goal is to have a pollinator friendly and ecosystem friendly and promote biodiversity and help kind of restore some of the nature loss that we've had at a rapid pace, and this, we need biodiversity in order for everything our society depends on, for fresh water, clean air, erosion control, food, both animal kind and plant-based. Really, without healthy nature and ecosystems, our society will not do well. So it may seem like it's a separate thing from your life, but in reality, each of us can play an important role in helping to alter that future possibility. And to the extent to which you can do it, go for it. Now, if you can't, if you're in an HOA, if you have some family dynamics that make that impossible to do, or neighbors who are insistent, you know, do what you can. But yeah, I hope you consider that. Okay, so the next thing I'll say is, so I mentioned at the top that I'm going to apply, that I've applied to become a master gardener. So if you've watched this channel long enough, you know that I love learning about gardening. I love sharing my knowledge about gardening with people. And I really want more opportunities to sort of share that knowledge with my community and with different groups. And honestly, I don't have the time to go out and find the schools, find the senior groups, the things that we're looking for. And those groups do come to the Master Gardener programs and say, hey, we could use someone coming to present on this, or can you come help us on this? And also they have like a hotline that Master Gardeners can be called and give advice on. So the Master Gardener program is basically a volunteer educators program. So it's I think I'll correct it if I'm wrong up in this corner here, but I think it's a 16-week course. It starts in February. It does cost a little bit of money to apply, but not too much. I think it's $300 in my area. It's a 16-week course. It's 4 hours a week of classes. One of those classes is virtual, the other's in person. And you basically get this big book, and it's everything related to gardening. You can imagine, for indoor gardening, outdoor gardening, botany, plant identification, native species, ecosystems, health, soil, all kinds of things, right? Like anything you could possibly want to know about gardening. And the nice thing is these programs are based on like the latest science and the latest knowledge. So you're really going to be up to date on like species and pest control and other things, and natural solutions. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then also, in order to become a master gardener, you have to pass a test of what you've learned. It is an open book test, so I think probably it'd be pretty hard to fail that. But then you also have to volunteer 50 hours in the following year after you pass the test in order to become an officially master gardener. And I was like, well, how am I going to do that? Well, I looked at some videos that the Delaware Master Gardeners program put out, and they said that basically they have so many opportunities coming in that there's just a lot of ways for volunteers, master gardener interns, and full-time and official master gardeners to be able to do this. And volunteer hours include time spent preparing for a presentation. It includes travel to and from time, as well as the time of the presentation. So you could easily rack up 6 to 8 hours per event pretty easily. So I think getting up to 50 volunteer hours actually wouldn't be that hard. And the nice thing is, it's not all about manual labor. It's more about education and learning. And while I don't mind manual labor, like the education and learning side is what I love and what I'm really looking forward to sort of enjoying. Now, I will have to be careful how I talk about it on this channel, because you are not allowed to profit from being a master gardener. Because it is a volunteer organization. And so I can talk about the things I've learned on this channel. I can share my knowledge, but I can't necessarily speak as a master gardener, right? But knowledge is valuable regardless. So I really look forward to becoming a master gardener in the next year or two. And I think my vision for my future and my life and my career is really purpose-driven, of helping others learn and empowering people to be able to take things into their own hands, to grow their own food, to preserve their own food, to make their own things from scratch. Because I think the more we know how to do those things and are able to do them, whether we do them all the time, the more power we have over our future, given how very little control we already have over our future, given the way the world changes and evolves, and geopolitics and local politics and everything. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to joining the program, and thank you to the person who suggested it in comments on the last video. I was already thinking about doing it, but I had kind of forgotten about it. I considered it a couple years ago, but I wasn't in a place I could do it. And I think I'm in a good place for it now, so I'm really looking forward to it. So let me know what you think, and if any of you have tried being a master gardener or are master gardeners, I'd love to hear your experience in the program and any tips or suggestions you have as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And that starts in February. And if I can, I'll talk a little bit about how the program goes as I do it. But yeah, looking forward to that. All right, thank you so much for watching this vlog, and so much else going on. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to start my canning series, and lots more gardening stuff and winter sowing stuff coming up. So please stay tuned, and I'll see you next time.